Hey everyone, listen, it's the quarantine and we're all living in a fake world where rules are cancelled and you can start drinking at like 9 a.m. and there's a line at grocery stores and hand sanitizer costs $29 and people put up the finale video to their December TBR at the end of March. This is just the times we're living in. So in December, I asked my dad to choose 5 books for me. I have 4 of them here. Where's the 5th? I don't know. My dad's not going to be impressed to find that part out. It's somewhere in my house, which is a finite place. I'll find it. But I'm gonna do a little gesture and I'm gonna put the cover up when we're discussing it. Let's talk about that book first, actually. So he recommended me 5 different books. They were from all different genres. There was a detective mystery, a high fantasy, a thriller, I don't know what you would call this one, like fluff mystery, and then sci-fi. So the first book was a Nero Wolfe book, and it was called Triple Jeopardy, which I first thought meant it was going to be something like Double Jeopardy, more Jeopardies. But it turns out that just means there's 3 short stories in the book. So, I don't know. So Nero Wolfe is an eccentric detective. He has a bad attitude, not a big fan of people, not a big fan of leaving his house. They said that in every one of the stories, and then he left his house in every one of the stories. It's like, Nero Wolfe never leaves his house. Anyway, he's gonna go get a haircut. And I was like, okay. I'm sure if you are more familiar with the Nero Wolfe canon, you're more familiar. Someone is texting me, and it's very rude. Sorry about that. I'm sure if you're more familiar with the Nero Wolfe canon, it's a lot more rare for him to be up and leaving, but it was just a little bit funny that it was so discussed and touted, and then I constantly saw him breaking that rule. But his partner, instead of the usual trope of like having kind of a dundering moron or someone who is just like a very specific skill, like they're a doctor, his partner, whose name I'm gonna look up, I think it was Sam. Oh, it's not Sam, it's Archie Goodwin. So he's super intelligent, he has an amazing memory, he is more than capable of solving some of these mysteries. So I liked that. It's told in his voice, he's the narrator. He's always making wisecracks. I really wish I had the book because one of the things he said was just like so bonkers. It actually took me a while to adjust to the tone of this book because it was written in such like 50s police slang parlance. But at one point he describes someone as looking like they spend all their time inside reading about horses, and I laughed at that for like 7 minutes, and I don't know what it means, but it's now my favorite way to describe a person. I think it's negative, I think it's a pejorative, it's not a compliment. So there were 3 mysteries. The first one, very anti-communist, not pro-communist at all. The second one, not really in any way pro or anti-communist. And then the third, it's kind of hard I don't want to talk about these so much without giving away anything. And they are all 3 so short. But one of them, someone was killed. Who did it? They were all at a dinner together and someone must have slipped the poison into the pills. And he's a member of the Communist Party, or is he? And all these other people are members of the Communist Party, or are they? And who did it? Nero Wolfe and Archie solve a mystery. Archie is so horny. He flirts with like every woman in the world and they're receptive to it. I guess he's good at flirts. They solve that mystery. The second mystery is someone is framed for a crime. Not exactly, they frame themselves. They are illegal immigrants, and when they get to their place of work, they assume that police are there because they are being sought out for being illegal immigrants. So they run, and then the police think, oh, these people did the murder. But they didn't. It's kind of funny, this was the only one that I solved in advance. I didn't even solve it. Nero Wolfe is just like asking what is the clue because he's at the barbershop, because he left his house. And I was the one who said, it's a magazine. And it was. And the magazine pointed to who did it. And then the third one is a kind of a complicated one to describe. Their services are sought out to kind of see who is gonna steal a gun, because this one person doesn't trust anyone, and then the gun is taken to shoot someone, and then they frame Archie, and Archie is pissed. He didn't do the murder, so who did? They solve it again, and Wolf comes. He leaves his house. So that was that. I would actually read more Wolf. I love mysteries. Those were very short. It was hard to get like a good sense of anyone, but I did really like Archie, and I liked their interactions. I don't really like the trope of like the asshole genius detective, but it was nice to see some other people. The next book that I read, this one, the cover is coming off again. This was the high fantasy, we'll hold it here, Eye of the World. This is the first book of the Wheel of Time series. This is by Robert Jordan. Robert Jordan wrote the first 8, I don't know, and then it was taken over by Brandon Sanders. So I had never read these books, didn't know anything about them. My friend Sean told me that like we play Dungeons and Dragons, and that these books are key to understanding a lot of the tropes in Dungeons and Dragons. He was right. It was a lot like if you've grown up watching and reading Lord of the Rings and then playing Dungeons and Dragons, it's like this book is the missing link between those two things. At first I read like 10 pages and I was not feeling it. I do not like high fantasy. I don't like when there's a map and I open a book and there's a map. My brain is just like, no. When they got all these names, when someone's name is like Randall Thor and his little girlfriend is named Egwene Alvear, my brain is like, don't do it. Put this book down. But I didn't, and then next thing I knew I had read like 300 pages of it. I really enjoyed it. I don't think the writing was strong. It was more like the world building was good. Let me talk about the world building for a second, because I think what I dislike about high fantasy is when you open something and it's 200 pages of history and it's basically the whole book to get everything established. I can't hang with that. That's too much for me. That's too much of a commitment. I will not read that second book and then I don't get anything out of all the world building. This I think was pretty clever, that it starts in a village where the magic and magical people and all the things have become legend that are understood, misunderstood. They are preconceived notions that aren't necessarily true. So they're things the villagers are semi-familiar with, but often wrong. So as concepts are introduced, people will say what they think it is, they'll get corrected, and they learn, and so you're learning with them. I liked it. There's a lot of Lord of the Rings in here. Somebody showed up and I was like, that's a Nazgul. And they were like, it's a fade. And I was like, that's a Nazgul. Can't fool me, Robert Jordan. Matt was my fave. He started to make me really mad. But then, so there's 3 boys. They are all destined to be something important. And a magical woman shows up at their small village. And then that village is attacked on the eve of their like May Day, Beltane type thing. And the magical woman tells these 3 boys, like, one of you is this key person that the Dark Lord is looking for. So we gotta book it out of here and get to my place where magic people are. And they're like, all right, they don't know what else to do. They're very scared. They don't know a lot. There's Rand Althor. I previously made fun of his name. There's Matt, who's my fave. And then there's Perrin, who's also there. And they get separated and encounter different dangers. 2 of the village women come with them. The wise woman, who's very young looking, and then I forget what I was talking about. 2 other women from the village come, the village wise woman and Rand al'Thor's girlfriend, Egwene Alvear, who is clearly supposed to be Guinevere in the Arthurian legend. It's revealed that these 2 women also have these abilities to magic powers. It's really only the women in this world who have access to magic. The male, it's very binary in terms of male and female, very binary in terms of black and white, good and bad, evil and goodness, darkness and light. So there's male magic and female magic, and the male magic is tainted, and any male who can access it will go mad. So it's primarily these women I'm not going to try to pronounce what they are, who can do magic. And the whole time you're wondering, like, which of the three is the one that the Dark Lord wants, and why, what about them? And then it turns out that all three of them are going to be important in their own way. The pattern of the universe is going to be woven around them. And it ends pretty climactically. I thought it was a lot of fun overall, and it's something that I've thought about a lot. It definitely like spoke to my imagination. I spent a lot of time wondering like what was going to happen and what is happening next. I don't think I would read it right away, the second book, probably next year, like read one a year. But I would read more of these. Then I read something completely different. This is Joe Nesbo's The Leopard. In the original Norwegian, this is called something that translates to Armored Heart, which is both a person who's very protected from getting hurt feelings and a person who is in an avalanche and your heart, something happens to your heart when you're in an avalanche and you're almost dying, I guess, because everything's too packed in. I don't know, that part was unclear to me. So this is another book in the hilariously named Harry Hula series. It's a thriller. I don't read a lot of thrillers, so I don't know if this would fool the average person, but every single twist, I was literally gasping and like telling my husband or whoever was around like what had just happened. It is a chunk. There's a Christian 650 pages in here. It's really long. So the only times where they didn't fool me was when they were like, we know who the murderer is. And I was like, no, you do not, because it is page 300 and there's a lot more left. So you are wrong. But it definitely kept me guessing, definitely kept me like on the edge of my seat. I don't know if I would read more of these just because I don't like, this opens with like an intense murder and it skied me out. Like I had to put the book down and come back to it days later. Oh, I could not hang. And I was really worried that the whole book was going to be that, just like very thorough descriptions of, you know, people getting murdered. Hold on. My camera was dying. There was about to be a murder of this video. Anyway, The Leopard. I would recommend it to somebody who likes thrillers. I don't know, like I was saying, I don't read a lot, so maybe you would see everything coming, but I found it captivating. Do not care for Harry. He's a big dick. The ends. I don't like when women fall in love with that kind of person over the course of like solving a mystery, but it happened. Spoiler, it happened. But I don't know, I enjoyed it. It went by. There were parts that were draggy, but overall it went by very fast. I kind of think it could have been edited a little bit. You don't need all this. That's how I feel. This book is 9 Lives to Die by Rita Mae Brown and Sneaky Pie Brown. Here's Sneaky Pie. Oh no. There we go. Precious. I chose this as a palette cleanser in the order of books because I was like, I just have been through some shit with The Leopard and even with Eye of the World. I need just like a fun little romp in a small town that has a high murder rate. No one's like concerned about the high murder rate for some reason. They're all like, no, it's chill. This is how many people get murdered here. This is a little hard to describe the concept of this, but there's humans, as usual, and then the pets and other creatures can like talk to one another. They cannot communicate with the humans, but they'll try to like make a lot of ruckus to point at clues and point things out. Like in this case, they discovered a skeleton and they made sure that their humans came to find them and also see the skeleton. So there were 2 mysteries in this, and both of them were solved by people confessing. They were not solved by being solved. And it was just the usual, like, people being very chill about murders. I would be kind of traumatized. Like, the 2 fingers, pointer finger and middle finger, were cut off of both the victims, and then, like, one of the fingers was left in a pencil cup and someone picked it up. And like, you don't go about your day after that. That's like a very upsetting thing. You knew the person that finger belonged to. I always just think it's weird. I liked the animals. I don't know, I thought it was cute. It was definitely kind of necessary after what I had just been reading. I don't know, I think I'm good with having read just that one. And then the last book, did not save the best for last. This is Midnight at the Well of Souls by Jackal Chalker. Oh, how to describe this? This is the one that's sci-fi. So it's many, many years in the future. We have space travel. We're on different planets. And there is this evidence of a race that's now extinct. And all their planets are computers. And they all have access to this place called the Well World. So if you accidentally get through, it seems kind of like they have nanotechnology. Like they can assemble and reassemble atoms. It's described as a mathematical equation that's almost like magic, where teleportation is done just by changing the variable of you are here to you are there. And that's how teleportation works. So if you get teleported to the main computer, you have to go through a black portal and get turned into a different creature, and then you just live with them. So one person gets turned into a centaur, and then she lives with the centaurs. And one person is a plant person. One person's a mermaid whose vagina is described unnecessarily. A horrible bug, that's what someone is. I don't know, I did not love this book. This was probably the book that I would actually say I actively disliked. It was just a challenge. There were a lot of mysteries. There's this person named Nathan Brazil, and he doesn't get transformed into anything. He goes through it and he just maintains his human form, and he starts to remember that he's actually thousands of years old. Like, his memories are getting healed. He can remember the Wilson era of the presidency, and he remembers knowing Napoleon Bonaparte. And it's like, ooh, what's his mysterious past? But as I was reading it, I was like, I don't care. I just don't care. And that's so unlike me. Usually if there's any minor mystery where it's like, oh, but what color was he gonna say next? I'm like, I gotta know. I did not gotta know. It was a lot. So there's this fight for supremacy where these two people got to Well World and they want to use the nanotechnology to effectively become gods. Then there's these 4 people who come on accident, but at the same time they're kind of like, yikes, we gotta do what we can to prevent this God situation. So there's some hijinks. And the whole time, all these different species have this expression that goes until midnight at the Well of Souls, which means basically like forever. Like, we're gonna be working on this until midnight at the Well of Souls. We're gonna be working on it forever. And it's like, well, what does that actually mean? What's the origin of that phrase? And you have to read if you want to know. This is also a series. I'm not going to read any more in this series. I'm sorry, Dad. My dad has read a lot of books on my behalf that were not very good. Like, he read the Animorphs author K.A. Applegate had these books called Everworld, and he read them all with me. And here I am paying him back by just being like, But it wasn't all bad. I would say, actually, I kind of read these in the order of most liked to least liked. Nero Wolfe was my fave. Eye of the World, over here is what I meant to do. Eye of the World was my second fave. I would 100% read the rest of this. After that, a great thriller, The Leopard. I don't really read thrillers, as I've said now 30,000 times in this video, but I did like it. 9 Lives to Die was like charming. I liked the animals. And it was Christmas time. This is a Christmas time one. Everything wraps up nice, and they have a nice Christmas, and they help the needy. Spoiler. Absolutely not. I wish I could erase this from my brain. I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I know my dad picked these because he thought I would like them, and I just did not like this one. But thanks to my dad for choosing some books for me. My dad's actually the one who taught me how to read. I know. Aww. She hates it. Dad's the one who taught me how to read, and books have been a big part of our relationship for forever, as long as I can remember. You wanna go down? So this was kind of a meaningful exercise to me. It wasn't just like a silly idea for a video. It's always good to know like the favorites of people, important people in your life, and I feel like I do know him kind of better after this. Just can't get over this Midnight at the Well of Souls thing. I'm sorry, Dad. Alright. Well, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video, which is probably going to be another quarantine video, so bye. Lucy? Lucy, you want to say bye? No, I won't pick you up again. Bye.